Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is KarQ, and today we've got Echo tips from our special guest, Sam.
Hey everybody, my name is Sam, better known as Samito. I'm a former Contenders player for Triumph Gaming and in your backline, and I now am a streamer and content creator for the Florida Mayhem.
So let's move to the general tip.
Your general goal should be to set up your focus beam. It's definitely Echo's biggest kill potential ability and allow her to thrive. Similar to Doomfist, you need to learn how to cycle your cooldowns. If you don't have gas in the tank, then you shouldn't go forward. Make sure that you always have your fly to get out of sticky situations, and you're landing on high grounds to set up off angles to poke people from multiple sides of the map.
And very quickly, since Echo can duplicate every hero except herself, Sam has given each hero a pass or fail on who Echo should be cloning for the best value, which I think is really valuable. So, let's get started.
Against Diva, it's important to force the Matrix with your primary fire, and since Echo doesn't have any fall-off damage, you can do this from a variety of ranges and heights. If she doesn't Matrix, you're just getting free ultimate charge, and if she does Matrix, you then have a setup to use your sticky bombs to get her to half health, and then use the focus beam to finish off the mech. Against Baby Diva, you actually can use the focus beam much earlier since she has 150 HP. That damage ramp will come much sooner since 75 HP and damage is all you have to do to get that ramp to activate. In terms of cloning with your ultimate, Diva gets a passing grade. She's a good character to switch into since she's a tank, and her bomb is very, very high impact and you can build it up very quickly. For Irisa, I like to use my primary fire to break her shield and then sticky bombs to force the fortify very early. Most Irisas will just panic when they see themselves hit with the sticky bombs, so they'll just use the fortify right away. After the fortify has worn off, your cooldowns will come back before her fortify comes back and a focus beam to get the job done. The one thing you have to be careful about with Irisa is her halt. If the Irisa is actively looking to pull you in, start saving your fly for after she uses the pull so she can't hulk you in place, but you can still get above and behind her to finish her off. For cloning, Irisa gets a very good passing grade. She's one of the best heroes to clone as a shield tank. She has a lot of health, and her bongo is one of the highest fight win rate ultimates in the game. Number 2, I believe, only behind EMP. And since Irisa is a tank, I would say she's an even better swap than Sombra. For Reinhardt, try to break his shield with your sticky bombs, your primary fire, and don't be scared to use your focus beam on it when it gets to half health. A shieldless Rein is useless, it's free ultimate charge, and it allows your teammates as well to follow up on the pressure that you created. Reinhardt also gets a passing grade as a good clone target. He's not the best, but you can still apply a lot of pressure, and I'm sure you've seen plenty of clips of people charging straight into the back lines and getting these massive shatters. Really, really fun. Passing grade, not a bad target to swap to. For Roadhog, stay out of his effective range and poke him down from a distance. Save your fly to get away from the hook if he's getting close to hook you. You want to save your focus beam after he's used his self-heal since he gets a massive damage reduction. If you get him below half health after using that self-heal, he's almost guaranteed to die. For cloning him, he gets a passing grade as well. You just have to be very, very careful to not 1, feed the enemy team, 2, get in a position to actually get value from the whole hog since you can get it from self-healing very, very easily. For Sigma, try not to shoot sticky bombs at his shield because he can just drop it. Break the shield with your primary fire and then use the bombs and focusing beam after on him. Just be careful of his grasp as well. If you fly above him, it's very, very easy to force it. For cloning, Sigma gets a passing grade as well. One tip I have for that is try to switch into him after flying up in the air onto a high ground or an angle behind their team to where you can shield yourself and immediately shoot them in the back to get the flux. If you don't set yourself up well to start, it's gonna be really hard to get that flux in time. For Winston, he's really punishable when he doesn't have cooldowns, so you can either wait for him to jump in or step inside his bubble to hit him with sticky bombs. After that, your primary fire does a lot of damage when he's lost his armor. Get him to that half health point, chase him down with the focus beam, and you should be able to kill him pretty easy. Winston also gets a passing grade for cloning. He's very, very good to swap into because you can build the Primal Rage very quickly, and you can immediately jump to any part of the map that you need to get value from. For Wrecking Ball, he's very hard to kill and sometimes not worth using cooldowns on. If he's going very deep into your team and your teammates are struggling with him, you need to focus fire him as a team or else you won't get any value from the focus beam due to his shields. In terms of cloning, I would say Ball gets a fail unless you're good at him. He's a very niche hero and hard to use. While Minefield is very good, if you don't have Wrecking Ball mechanics, it's much better to swap into a different character. Even if you have Azaria under 50% HP and you're getting value from the focus beam, if she uses her bubble, it counts as a 100% HP shield. So your damage ramp will be lost until the bubble itself gets down to 50% health. It's important to wait on the sticky bombs until she's used herself or team shield before you go aggressive on her. If she has used it, the focus beam can be set up very easy and you don't have to worry about that at all. In terms of cloning, Zarya gets a failing grade because a lot of players aren't great at building energy off the first bubbles, and if you don't build energy off the first bubbles, it's almost impossible to build a grab, especially if there are shields in your face. For Ashe, try to get as close to her as possible without using your fly and being safe. You really want to have your initial momentum burst when you get right in her face, so it's much harder for her to hit you. After you do that, try to land multiple sticky bombs and preemptively pop the focus beam to finish her off in a clean assassination. If you learn how to do all this while maintaining your fly, you'll be able to fly back into your team safely if you miss. In terms of cloning, Ashe will also get a passing grade as long as you can land the dynamite. If you're confident in landing the dynamites, Bob is really easy to build and he's very impactful. Having a 7th man on the field is really good in Overwatch. Bastion is a very weird character because it takes team play to beat comps built around him. Using Echo's flight to get to Bastion's crit box and angles where their tanks can't shield is the best way to dismantle comps built around that Bastion. In terms of cloning, Bastion gets a fail just because he's super vulnerable and the tank form can be stopped pretty easily. He can't really carry a game by himself in this state of the game, so it'd be better to swap to other targets. Echo is one of Doomfist's biggest counters in the game. Not only can he not touch you in the sky, but you can patiently wait for him to come in, and while he's either charging his punch or stuck in the uppercut velocity, you can hit easy sticky bombs on him. After you've landed those sticky bombs, pull out the focus beam, you can track him down very easily with your fly. To top it off, Doomfist is the best DPS to swap to, in my opinion, with your ultimate. He has insane damage capabilities with his punch, as well as his ultimate, which can be built off one punch. Whichever Echo gets the value from the focus beam first will always win that duel. You also can't play aggressive into the other team until you've dealt with the enemy Echo, whether she's pocketed or not, or else you'll be punished without your cooldowns. Don't try to use your ult on the other Echo, it won't work. For Genji, you're also pretty strong into him. Play him mid-range since he doesn't have very good poke or high damage poke at all. Since Genji can't deflect your focus beam, he's not very good defensively in that matchup, so it's okay to get aggressive against him. For the love of God, please do not clone a Genji for your own mental sanity, and there are so many better heroes to clone into, so Genji's gonna get a fail. While it does seem fun, it's too risky, and there's just more consistent characters to swap into. When it comes to Hanzo, it's definitely not Echo's most ideal matchup. If there are other targets to look for in the fight that would be easier kills, I recommend that you go for them instead, but if you have to duel the Hanzo, one thing you can do to throw off his aim is to use the initial momentum boost from your flight to make it harder for him to hit you, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to whether or not he's hitting his shots or you're hitting your shots. In terms of cloning, Hanzo is definitely not one of the better heroes to swap into. I'm going to give him a fail grade just because he's very inconsistent. Dragon Strike isn't that great of an ultimate in this state of the game. For Junkrat, you definitely have the advantage against him. Try to play up in the air at mid-range and shoot down at him. It'll be almost impossible for him to hit you, and he'll have to use his mines to try to get you out of the sky, meaning once he drops and probably misses, he'll be very vulnerable. In terms of cloning, Junkrat can be good, but there are better heroes to swap into. The Tire is very good, but you don't really get the angles that you need to have on Junk to play safe, so I'd recommend switching to other heroes rather than him. McCree is not a favorable matchup for Echo. I would say he's the biggest Echo counter in the game. It's important to get the element of surprise on him. Try to come from an off angle and preemptively fire sticky bombs. You can use the focusing beam and stay out of range of the flashbang. Luckily for you, McCree is a good target to clone as the High Noon is a very good ultimate and you can do a lot of burst damage to their team. If you're ever caught out by a McCree's High Noon, you can actually use a clone to save your life on him or anyone else on his team. For Mei, Echo is pretty neutral into her. You don't want to use your sticky bombs or your beam on her until she's used her ice block, but after she's used it, you can do really good damage to her by getting aggressive since she doesn't have a get out of jail free card. Mei is going to get a failing grade for the cloning. It's just not a very high value target. It's hard to get initial value and the Blizzard build rate is very slow since her icicles are very hard to land. Pharah is a really favorable matchup for Echo because Echo has way better speed and flight control once you're in the air. While Pharah can really only bob up and down with her fly, she's much slower and way more predictable. Echo can move to each side as well as glide while maintaining momentum. To top that off, Echo's abilities are generally more assassination based, while Pharah's are both movement based, so when you're in the air, you have more tools to win the fight than the Pharah. In terms of cloning, Pharah is more of a fail, but it can be very good if you have a good angle to get Barrage, because you do get the second life. The big drop off to Barrage is that you die when using it, but as Echo, you get out alive. To clarify though, it is more of a fail than a pass, but it is doable. Against Reaper, it's a lot like Mei. You don't want to use your cooldowns until you force his Wraith form. The best way to force the Wraith form is to use your primary fire from mid-range because you will have more damage output than him. Then while keeping your distance, you want to use your fly to get some sticky bombs on him and finish him off with the focusing beam. In terms of cloning, Reaper is going to get a passing grade due to how fast you can build up your ultimate, how you can instantly teleport to wherever you need to go. The downside to Death Blossom is that Reaper is very punishable in it, but since you get a second life, that risk goes away, allowing you to be much more aggressive with him. The matchup against Soldier is generally pretty neutral. It's going to come down to who can land their abilities. The one thing you got to look out for is to dodge the Helix rocket and not to fly straight up in the air where it's easy for him to track you. Use the momentum boost to land some sticky bombs and mess up his aim. If you miss your abilities, just make sure to fly back into your team safely and try it again the next time around. In terms of cloning, Soldier's not bad, but he's not great either. I'll give him a slight pass due to the self-sustain and the damage you can put on. It's really good if you fly above and behind a team on an off angle and transform on the way down, so you already have set yourself up with good positioning. If you can do that, you'll get a lot of value from switching to Soldier. When going up against Sombra, she's not a target that you want to focus too much. It's not really worth your time. Your goal should be to force her out with your primary fire, and generally speaking, you don't want to use the sticky bombs on a Sombra who has her translocator ready. On paper, transforming into Sombra would be really, really good, and you do see a lot of pro players do it. However, it's really hard to get value from that, especially in lower ranks. For that reason, I'm going to give Sombra a failing grade. It can be good, but generally speaking, I don't see it getting consistent value. Against Symmetra, you want to play her mid-range, get up in the sky, poke her down from off angles, and once you get her low, you can go in with the focusing beam. If you see her put the teleporter down, shoot the sticky bombs where they're going to come out instead of the initial teleporter. You break the teleporter really easily and you can get some insane area of effect ultimate charge based off your sticky bombs. In terms of cloning, Symmetra is going to get a fail grade. She's a very gimmicky character as is. They're just better heroes to swap to. If it's a last resort and you need to survive, by all means do it, but generally speaking, there's always going to be a better character to switch to. Torbjorn's turret kind of acts like a seventh man in the sense that it will always zone you out of the fight, so you need to use your sticky bombs to break it before you go in. After you break the turret, try to play against him mid-range, force his overload, and then after he's used his overload, then you can get aggressive with your focusing beam on him. Cloning Torbjorn is a passing grade for a couple reasons. One, you get the seventh man with the turret. Two, the Molten Core builds really, really fast and it's a great ultimate. Three, you get the flex on the enemy Torbjorn and you gotta get the hammer kills. Going up against Tracer is for sure one of the harder duels for Echo. You can definitely play her at a more mid to long range since she has fall off damage, but you don't. Your goal should be to force her recall with your bombs or ideally your primary fire and then tag her again after to set up the focusing beam. Since Tracer is only 150 HP, if you start the focus beam on her, you'll get to that damage ramp slightly faster since her 50% HP threshold mark is lower. Tracer is going to get a passing grade in terms of cloning. She's really good because you'll have all your blinks the second you switch, pulse bomb builds really, really fast, and you can apply a ton of pressure to the enemy team's backline and go really wherever you want on the map. When going against Widow, you have to approach her just like we talked about earlier. Try to get as close as you can, then use the speed boost on your fly to set up an assassination. Generally speaking though, you want to force her to push into you rather than you pushing into her. The reason for this is, if they're pushing into you, they have to look for you for a half second to a second, but if you know where they're coming from, you'll be able to make the first attack, and as Echo, getting that initial damage off first is really, really crucial to setting up that focusing beam. If a hero does burst base damage, that half second can mean instant death, especially the higher up you go in ranks. Widow is gonna get a failing grade for cloning. Her ultimate isn't high impact and it's very hard to build. Unless you're very confident in your Widow, there are just better heroes to swap to in most situations. When going up against Ana, you don't really want to fly too close to her until after she's used her sleep dart. Be on the lookout for Anas who stay scoped in because they're very easy targets with your sticky bombs. If you land multiple sticky bombs on her, just immediately pull out the focus beam. Even if she nades herself, she'll still die through it. Ana will get a passing grade for the clone. Nano Boost is a very high impact ultimate, and to top that off, you can fly up in the sky, transform into the Ana on the way down, and get a massive anti-nade on their team as well as a sleep dart. Baptiste is definitely one of the harder matchups for Echo. This is because of his immortality field. Your goal against Bap should be to force the immortality field with the first cycle of your cooldowns, get back to your team, and then after it wears off, you want to duel him kind of mid-range, then you go in aggressive with the focus beam since he won't have his lamp to save himself. Baptiste gets a passing grade when it comes to cloning. The Amp Matrix and Immortality Field cooldowns are both very, very good. He also is a sleeper when it comes to dealing damage. To the worst character ever implemented in any video game ever created. When you sticky bomb the transparent parts of her shield and she drops her shield, the bombs will fall to the floor and thus the damage will be blocked. However, if you sticky bomb this center part, they will stick to her hand if she tries the same thing. So as long as you stay out of her swing range, aim for the center of her shield, and follow up with some primary fires and focusing beam, she should go down fairly easily. Brig is going to get a passing grade for cloning. Rally is just the best support ultimate in the game due to its consistency, her ability to heal people across the map, just overall a very, very strong character. Brig is a great swap. The matchup against Lucio is favorable to Echo, mostly because he can't damage you from long range. Against Lucios that like to wall ride a lot, try to read their movement trajectory and pre-fire your sticky bombs a little bit ahead of them just to catch them with that explosive damage. In terms of cloning, I wouldn't say Lucio's very good, so he's gonna get a fail grade. Brig is just a better version of Lucio for the swaps. It can be good though if your team needs a defensive ult and say they've got a Graviton Surge coming up. The swap to Lucio and healing your team with that amp heal could be enough to build the barrier on paper, but sometimes in reality it's very hard to do. Echo is good into Mercy because her mobility can keep up with Mercy's Guardian Angel. Because Guardian Angel generally makes Mercy fly in a straight line, it's much easier to time the sticky bombs to land them on her if she flies across the map and you get above her or behind her, or on any good angle that allows you to see the map and shoot freely. Cloning into Mercy generally isn't that good. It's a very niche situation. For that reason, Mercy's gonna get a failing grade. It can be good sometimes for the res, but I wouldn't really recommend it. There's probably a better hero to switch into. Echo is neutral into Moira. The main thing you need to be aware of is make sure you're playing out of her grasp range. Your goal against her should be to force her fade, ideally with your primary fire, but if you're not confident in your aim, you can use the sticky bombs to force the fade first, then poke her down with your primary fire and finish her off with the focusing beam. Cloning Moira is going to get a passing grade because you can build the coalescence really, really fast, and once you do, you can apply a ton of pressure to the enemy team. And we all know how much the community loves our skill orbs, aka the damage orbs, very, very difficult ability to use. Echo definitely has a slight advantage against Zen because he's not mobile, and if you land your sticky bombs on him, you're almost guaranteed the kill. Try to fly a little bit above him so it's hard for him to hit his projectiles on you. Then, after you've tagged him once or twice, pull out that focusing beam to finish him off. Cloning Zen is going to get a failing grade. It's just not consistent at all. He's very, very vulnerable, and he has to have a team comp to protect him. The best heroes to switch into as Echo are the ones that can play on their own and give fight-winning impact on their own, and Zenyatta's not really like that. Thanks for having me, everybody, especially to my man KarQ. I'm streaming on my YouTube channel most days at 11 a.m. EST. Link for that will be down in the description. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at SamitoFPS, and I hope you guys enjoy fragging out as Echo.